Hello, everyone. It's Coach Mo here with two awesome, successful professional women. If you're new to the world of Coach Mo, I am Coach Mo Fall, the founder and creator of the Kick-Ass Career Workshop, which these two lovely women are both very familiar with. And I'm also the founder of Bring Your Soul to Work to Land Your Dream Job methodology, where we help women find their soul so that they can claim their dream job. And if you're watching live, we would love, love, love to get some of your comments and tell us that you're here, and actually maybe even a question. If you're catching this on podcast or on a replay, feel free to visit mofall.com for all things soul to career. Ladies, welcome on my, I don't know which way it looks like for people, but the blonde on this is Nadia Clifford. Nadia, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I've been with Mo since November 2017, so it's been quite some time. Yeah. I'm a digital transformation coach, and I've been consulting for large financial services companies for the last couple of years. What I really do is I help organizations and individuals become the best versions of themselves while they're navigating the complexities of the digital and cultural enterprise level transformations.
Lovely. And Angela Clemente from Philly area. How are you today?
Good. How are you, Mo?
Good. What's your story here, Angela?
So I have known Mo since June of 2018, I believe.
Okay.
Maybe I lost track there, but sometime in 2018.
Okay.
I'm an insurance industry professional, and what I really do is challenge assumptions and teach. And it's all about elevating expertise from the desk level up. I can't do the job alone. As leaders, we can't do the job alone. So we implement strategies to make people the best they can be in all aspects.
Awesome. We've known each other for a little while, ladies, and you've been bringing your soul's vibration up over these years, and each of you came in with a different story. That's really, really important, I think, to set the stage for what we're going to talk about as we continue on, which I really want to get into, really the essence of what it takes, what is necessary to be a successful professional woman, particularly in the 21st century. Things are rapidly changing. But let's pop back to Angela. Angela, when we first got going, what was happening in your career world?
Lots of frustration. Couldn't see my way through what the solution was. Lots of blaming on myself and lack of clarity.
Yeah, the self-blame is a doozy, as you know, from hanging out with other women who have been through the work we do and ongoing. It's a huge problem that we women take things personally when things aren't going according to our expectations, or our efforts aren't being rewarded or appreciated in the way we think they ought to. Yeah, awesome. Nadia, where were you in 2017?
I'm not in a good place, really. I actually, I Googled career coaching from a hospital bed, where I ended up with a nervous breakdown. As I was working too much. I was always very ambitious and career-oriented, but my solution to career advancement was work hard, and that doesn't work. Never.
No.
Just burned myself out completely.
Right. I mean, there's, being successful, you have to put effort forward. You have to be smart. You have to be influential and exerting your knowledge and skills through the team. But grinding it out is a road to nowhere, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. And the body gets worn out. If we're not listening to the warning signals, the body just gets worn out and can't even take it anymore. At some point, something's got to give. And in your case, it was more physical exhaustion from the nervous system just being overtaxed. Angela, I would say the thing that had to give was you just couldn't keep spinning in frustration anymore.
That's right. Right.
Yeah.
And now it becomes, I have to like force myself to remember what that was like. But now whenever I start to feel little hints of that, the overwhelm, I know I'm going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And I just stop.
Yeah. I mean, the truth is, we're always going to have some things that are impinging on us. There's always going to be some stresses or challenges that come our way. And in particular, the thing I really want to talk about today, because both of you know this really, really well, is also stepping into a sense of something greater. Because that has its own scary gremlin feels going on, doesn't it? Nadia, you and I had some good coaching around this over a couple of different episodes as you began stepping into a greater version of you. What was necessary for you to go through or become as you were stepping into that next version?
Yeah, I definitely broke some personal glass ceilings a few times. The first time was probably when I was looking for my first dream job, when I was still in the 12-week workshop in the very beginning. And I was just looking at jobs that wouldn't pay what I thought I was worth, or rather what Mo thought I was worth. There's a difference there.
You are worth this amount of money. You must apply.
And eventually I realized, no, I have to look at higher level jobs. And it was very, very scary. But then you have to step into that identity that, no, I'm actually much bigger than what I think I am. And my next breakthrough was more on the financial side, breaking through a certain number. That, again, Mo pushed me to it. And I was sick to my stomach asking for it, but I got it.
You know, we can laugh now. But here's the thing, when you expand the parameters of what you thought was true, you have to break through something, and you called it your own personal glass ceiling. That's great words. We have these, I mean, just parameters around us that I think in large part, and I'll specifically speak on your example, Nadia, having to work super duper hard and having that habit sort of built into your persona. Of course, making more money is going to feel like, how much harder can I work? So we have to shift that sensibility in that hardwired programming that making more doesn't mean working harder. You had a successful career, that you had escalated your skills and your expertise and your experience to a level where you were worth more in the marketplace than you were giving yourself credit for. And at the same time, I think all of us who have had experiences with bad bosses also start trading off our value, thinking, I don't want to be like that person. So I'm not going to play at that level. I don't want to be an executive. I don't want to do that. So we begin to tell ourselves a story that pulls us away from our greatness. And as you ladies both know, the contribution that you give into an organization matches the compensation level that you ultimately get. And this is why I push on the compensation, because Nadia, you were bringing so much to the table that you were undervaluing yourself. And so when you work super hard and undervalue yourself, your soul is going, what about me? and sort of claiming that big amount of contribution, it takes a little bit of practice, doesn't it? To be able to claim it and realize, yeah, that is who I am.
Yeah, and I think there's a certain threshold that you step over at some point when you turn from this worker bee that works hard and hopes to be noticed and promoted into more of a leader. And at a certain point in your career, you start being paid for decisions that you make and for who you are, you know, how you present yourself, how you behave, how you think, not how much stuff you get done in a day. It's a vast difference that a lot of women don't realize.
No. And, you know, I don't exactly know what we're missing in the workplace that we lose out on that. And my career was the same as you ladies. I'm not speaking from some I did it perfectly vantage point. I actually just sent an email out a couple of days ago talking about how many times I've been fired. And I was walking this weekend with my sister-in-law and brother-in-law, and my brother-in-law said to me, "You've really been fired 6 times?" I said, "Well, let's break it down." And I think we broke it down. I actually lost my job twice, reorganization, layoffs. And then I was literally fired / kicked out of the organization 4 times. So I've had the PhD of hard knocks, which is one of the reasons why I'm able to really appreciate and understand as a coach what it takes to move through these barriers, because I moved through them myself. So there is an amazing amount of I don't know what the right word is. I don't even want to say empathy, but like I get it. So I know when I propose something big, what's going on, and just holding your certainty and holding your truth for you while you catch up with that. I think is one of the things that I do well. I know my team does it well as well. And we know what women are capable of doing in the world that maybe they haven't been able to find in the past. So I'm, of course, as you know, always delighted with where you are as an executive and as a professional, Nadia, and we'll get back to that in a second. Angela, you had to let go of a debilitating habit of judging yourself and getting frustrated with others that they're not.
Which one?
Maybe as quick as you, as smart as you, as on top of things. How did you unwind and talk about how that process moved forward in a positive way for you?
Ironically, well, maybe not ironically, but it was a light bulb went off when I recognized my own value. And once I recognized my own value, I was unstoppable. It was like this bright light just shining all the time. And that's what I focused on, is now I know the value that I bring. So I was constantly focused on it and bringing it even more intently. And it was solving problem or situations that I previously saw as problems just kind of faded away. And I realized it was really just because I was thinking too small and not thinking enough about myself.
Yeah.
And once I knew my own value, everything else just fell into place.
Yeah. And, claiming our value it seems like it should be one of the easiest things to do, because inherently it's always in us somewhere. Sort of gets lost, pushed into a corner. Maybe it gets like dislodged a little bit, but I think every human being knows there's like a kernel of that inside of us. It seems like this, like the pilot light that never really goes out. It just isn't as bright or as strong as it needs to be as we're navigating the world. And both of you are moms. Angela, you're a mom of an 11-year-old son. How did this affect you as a mom?
That's
getting
right.
your shiny light brighter.
So, my son has challenges. And so how it affected me was that it helped me to help him, because I would focus more on the opportunity or the positive aspect of things, rather than what, being told what his diagnosis was or what other people were saying. We were more in tune with what was going on inside of us. And it just made all the difference for him as well as for me.
Yeah. One of the classic success books which both of you know about, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. He talks about his own son who was born with a severe hearing disorder and basically earmarked as absolutely deaf. And he refused to just admit that and categorize his son as deaf and then treat him that way. And he wasn't not appreciating the isness of it, but he didn't want to settle for that being okay or good enough. And he fought really, really hard, and sort of a long story, but eventually someone invented a hearing device that he was able to use on his son and got him to be largely a hearing individual. And had he not claimed a bigger idea or a bigger imagination for his son, I mean, maybe Napoleon Hill wouldn't even have written that book, because he wouldn't have been the person he needed to be to share what some of those astounding qualities of believing in something more, because that's really everyone's success path, is believing in something more, believing in a greater this, believing in, I mean, running a team. Isn't that what's always necessary? Like, if you just think your team is just what it is, you're like, okay, team, I guess we're gonna have another week, same old, same old. I mean, you wouldn't be getting anywhere. And Nadia, you have 3 kids, and a variety of different ages, but you had to go through a very interesting transition with your eldest. And I don't know if you want to specifically talk about that, or just how this bigger shining soul has impacted you as a mom.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there was a lot of changes in me as I was going through the workshop and subsequent, mastermind groups, etc. One of them was combining all parts of Nadia into one. So showing up as the same Nadia everywhere, at work and in my family, and being the best version of myself and being very self-aware. And that enabled me to be very much more aware of what my kids are as individuals, and respecting their personalities and their desires and what they're good at. And my oldest son, he's almost 19 now, he chose not to go to college when he graduated from high school last year. And it hit me hard in the beginning, because, I mean, what do you mean you're not going to college? And he was not the greatest student in even, middle school, high school, but I knew he was smart and capable, and he chose military career. And it was very hard on me as a mom, but because I learned to respect myself and my self-worth and respect my desires, I respected that in him, and I supported him through the process while he was figuring out how to go about it. And he ended up joining the Navy during COVID. Obviously, he did boot camp, and now he's in Naval Aviation School, and he's top of his class. It's one of the most difficult programs in the Navy, and his average grades like 95 or something like that, and he was a mediocre student. So he found his calling, and I'm very proud of myself that I supported him through that.
Yeah. It's funny how when we listen to the inner calling, how we can succeed beyond when we maybe were just doing what we were supposed to do. And both of you ladies have that experience of doing the supposed to track, didn't feel great, was taking down the wrong road. And Nadia, because I work with the laws of the universe a lot, I know that your son's ability to listen to his inner guidance system is because you were listening to your inner guidance system and gave the energetic freedom for him to express himself in what he truly wanted to do. And he was in naval types of stuff going through high school, right? He was doing other types of programs, so he had some inclination that he really enjoyed that.
He loved everything military since he was a toddler, so it was pretty obvious.
Yeah. Probably a past life going on there that he wanted to reclaim something. How about your relationship with your other kids who are still at home?
They really deepened, especially this last year, 2020. I know it was hard on a lot of people, but I took the opportunity to deepen the relationship with my kids, because I'm much more open with them, and I'm open not just with my achievements, but also with my shortcomings, and especially with my daughter, who's 13 now. That's a pretty difficult age for a girl. Well, a boy, I guess, too. But we took a daily walk. Every day we walked and we talked about all things life, and really grew very close together. And I see her turning into this beautiful individual, very self-aware and aware of other people. And I think she's going to make an awesome coach someday. Something along those lines. Yeah. Some things she's much wiser even than I am. And it's not just from talking to mom, but also I think in part just observing me, being myself, my genuine, authentic self, and that gives her the permission to be herself.
Yeah. And make no mistake about it, as both of you ladies know, and I certainly do in raising two kids who are now significantly in their adult lives, they're watching everything. Everything. So no matter if you think you're keeping something to yourself or you're keeping your stress out or whatever, they're picking it up energetically, nuances. And as a matter of fact, if you're not really sharing your experience too much, they're actually heightened sense of picking up what you're not saying. So when we open up verbally and really express ourselves and make it an easy in, that they can come into our experience and into our expressions, they're able to like relax into that more. And I know that the tulips that you have right in your beautiful picture there, Nadia, are another expression of a family gathering that you just had.
Yes.
Which is so awesome.
The kids and I went tulip picking, and even my 16-year-old son, who is not into that kind of stuff, he took us there, he drove us, and it was very nice. And he's another example of how my parenting changed. He's very introverted and quiet, and he doesn't ever express his feelings. But I keep talking about mine, and I put labels on my feelings, when I'm anxious or mad or happy or joyful, whatever. I describe that and I talk about it. And recently he started talking about his feelings a little bit too, and I take that as a huge victory for an introverted 16-year-old boy.
Yes, that is huge. Wow, that's great. Angela, you were sharing with us before we went live here about some of the fun stuff you were doing with your son over the weekend, that you're taking directly from the coaching that we're doing together. Tell us a little bit about what you were able to share with your son to help him imagine a future for himself.
Right. So he's going through a little rough patch with school. He's not liking school so much lately. So we went out and we bought sketchbooks. And we started sketching things we're grateful for. And then we went into sketching his ideal school environment. And what he drew a video game, what he would imagine school would be like. And it's a work in progress. Yeah. But it's been a lot of fun. It's something we did together. You get the crayons out, paint, whatever, all different colors. And we got these giant sketchbooks, so we're free to just roam around the pages as we like, and just focus on the imagination and what his vision is.
Yeah, it's so much fun. As you know, from what I was sharing the other night, that's always been like my go-to when I feel stuck or overwhelmed or frustrated, or also feel like I'm just not getting where I want to go. Like, what's in my way? Opening up on paper, whether it's writing big or drawing pictures or anything that's expressive, is actually freeing up the other side of our brain into more creativity and more imagination. And it's allowing us to relax, which, as you ladies both know, the primal response that we have to working hard or judging ourselves or being a perfectionist or any of the other stuff that all the ladies that we work with tend to have these traps that they get into. They all put the brain into stress mode. And this shuts down our creativity. It shuts down all the best parts of who we are. And it puts us in this stuck zone where we just can't get out of it. And frankly, getting out of it on your own is next to impossible. It's almost like you could wrap your hand around the outside of the prison gate and unlock the key yourself, but it doesn't even seem like it's possible. So most people stay in that cage, feeling that that's what life is just going to be. And we settle on that. And based on that dose of reality, I just want to remind everyone, as a little commercial break here, that both Nadia and Angela's journey started because they had enough dose of courage to book a complimentary career clarity call where we were able to review for them what was stopping them from being awesome and highlight some of the areas that are, let's just say, sort of obvious to us as coaches, but to pinpoint it for them so they could understand what was going on. And in many cases, we can't reach around and unlock that prison gate because we don't have the answer, or maybe we don't have the dexterity in our arm, but most of the time, no one else is giving us that guidebook, how to get out of this. So we do that in our workshop, and for them, it was a great fit. And they totally rocked their 12-week journey with us. If you're the first time coming to any of my stuff, maybe you want to take a look at my webinar that I conduct on a regular basis, and that is mofall.com/FB Live. If you'd like to book one of those calls that started Angela and Nadia's journey, that complimentary career clarity call can be booked at mofall.com/live clarity. And with that being said, ladies, I know each of you continue to progress and do your thing and keep expanding and growing. And Angela, we are imagining this wonderful opportunity unfolding in perfect harmony for you, and really looking at this bigger life that is coming together. What are some of the things that you've learned, or you've been able to integrate in the time that we've been working together that has really propelled or made things different for you? Angela, tell us a little bit about what that is for you.
So some of the things the daily habits or the things that I do consistently have changed. Less is more, I guess. So I'm much more calmer and focused, and there's obviously meditation. Sometimes more than once a day. Sometimes I take vacation or meditation vacations just to meditate and get refocused. Journaling, gratitude, and also not giving up. Being clear about where it is I want to go. And there's not a straight line. Sometimes you have to veer off a little bit to get to where you need to go, and be okay with that.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. I think a lot of people who are trying to conquer the world, so to speak, again, both you ladies very ambitious and eager to do more and have the best, biggest career in life that you can have. It's a misnomer to think that it's a linear path. It's really the winding mountain road, isn't it? That just almost has to curve around, because the steep cliff, if it was linear, it'd be like too steep to take it on all at once. And so as human beings, we are living in a bit of a progressive occurrence of life. There's a big joke about having an overnight success. It only took 20 years of practice. And that's really what success looks like for many people. And I think the stories of people who like win the lottery overnight and how they flame out and burn is a good corollary example of our nature in growth is progressive, and it has iterations, and it has, unfortunately, sometimes frustrating to the primitive brain, repeating lessons that come at us when we're like, didn't I already get through that? And then we realize it's another layer of it, another layer. Nadia, what are some of the things that you have found to enhance your path being a successful professional woman?
I think the most important thing that I learned is to continually invest into myself and to take care of my mind, body, and soul, and invest more energy into that than my job, actually, because if I am the best me, everything else will happen anyway. So just like Angela, I have the daily routines every morning, and it's meditation, it's journaling, and it's being in touch with my own intuition and trusting in myself, and also living with intention. So it's setting goals for the year, for the quarter, for the week, for the day, and then telling it up at the end of the day or at the end of the quarter, like, what happened? What did I learn? As a coach, as a digital transformation coach, I often tell my clients that we don't learn from experiences, we learn from reflecting on those experiences. And that's a huge part of my own routine, to look back, and whether I use Mo or other coaches for that, or I just journal. But it's always looking back and what did I learn? And what's next? What's the next big thing?
Right. We spoke at the beginning of the year about an ongoing process of writing quarterly goals and 3 big things to accomplish during the quarter, and then basically waterfalling that into the day. And that's a process that I've been using, and we shared this in our mastermind through a simple structure of a journal that's out there called the Self Journal. And every single week when I go back to look at my past week, even if I feel that I got nothing done or nothing accomplished, which can never be true, because if I'm putting some effort into the week, I had to have accomplished something. But the brain again starts to filter out the good stuff. And it's really almost like this human habit that we have to get into to really express the positive and to celebrate the progress as we go along, because the brain is so wired for negative bias that it just, again, keeps trying to trap us in that fear state, that not enough state. And when our subconscious programming has any more of those remnants, it just like goes to town on that. It's like, party up on the not enough, party up on the I didn't do enough, party up on the I didn't work hard enough. And we know that in order to stay in our highest version of ourselves, we have to continue to rise above those natural inclinations. And there's, of course, a lot of strategies that we use. And one of the great things, and both you ladies are in our mastermind group, one of the great things also is having other people who are taking the journey with you.
Absolutely.
Angela, what has that meant for you to stay on track for yourself, but to see other women go through it, express yourself, both sometimes humbly and sometimes courageously, with a sisterhood that's moving along as well with you?
Well, it's one of the things that was missing, to have like-minded people, or a sisterhood that was looking for the same things out of life, and to have that reflected back at me, get that kind of feedback and response, which was lacking in other areas of my life. I wasn't getting the feedback that I needed to get to the next level. In fact, the feedback that I was getting was, well, you're just too ambitious. You just want too much, or you're fine where you are. What do you want more for? So this group, that's not what it's about. Even if there's a little challenge involved sometimes, we're all going in the same direction. We're moving forward.
Right. You mentioned a really interesting point, I think, that a lot of women get. I don't know that men get this as much, but that whole thing of, what do you want to do more for? Why do you need more in your life? Why are you going after something more? That was something I heard all the time. And when people who love you say that, it's almost impossible not to at least consider for a minute, are they right or am I? It does a number on you. And when you know that your soul is about growth, when you know inherently as a human being, all of us want more. And those who can't understand it have their own life cycle to work through. So when you're with others who are on that higher sense of self path and plane, you don't have to struggle against, is the outside world like against me, favorable, friendly? You're able to be in an environment that continues to support your expression of your highest good. And as you ladies both know, I belong to my own mastermind of other coaches who are doing what I'm doing. And I think just in society as a woman, it's so easy to get into that trap of other people judging your success. I don't think we're really there yet as a society where most people are looking at successful women as, bravo to you, sister, keep going. Now, there's some of that, but I don't really think that it's yet the majority opinion in the world for a lot of reasons, and we don't have time to break down some of that. But there's a myth that success takes away from our family. For some reason, the men in previous generations never really had to really fight against that. That actually seemed to work for them. Nadia, as a working mom, how has success actually given you more freedom, more ability to be the person that you want to be? And what's that given to your family in total? You talked a little bit about that, but just thinking about the big picture here.
Yeah, I think it's a very common misconception that the higher you are in your career, the more you work, the harder you work. That's not true, absolutely. I actually have a much richer, balance or harmony rather between work and family. Now that I've moved up the career ladder, and additional income doesn't hurt, obviously.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But I'm such a more balanced individual, and that makes me a better mother, and I spend better quality time with my children, and I set a much better example for them of how to be in this life, of how to reach for bigger, better things. And I talk about it all the time. If I'm looking for a new job, or I applied for a program that was competitive, or anything like that, I always talk about it and my reasons for it, and whether succeed or fail, and they learn.
Yes. Wonderful. If you had to speak to your former self, Nadia, that woman who was burning herself out, what would you say to her today as an older, wiser version of you?
Oh, she needed to get help much sooner than. Yes, she needed to reach out, as you said. We can't unlock our own prison door. And it's a lot of it is just believing in the good outcomes, because I had a very fatalistic view on life, that only bad things were going to happen, and I had to guard against those bad things happening, which obviously didn't prevent them from happening. But it's instead, thinking that no, things will work out, and they will work out better than I might expect. Actually, my motto right now is to prepare to be delighted, which is the opposite of what it used to be.
Exactly. Prepare to be delighted. Yeah, that's an awesome one. Angela, what advice would you give to yourself 3 years ago or so nowadays?
Stop putting so much energy into trying to fit into a box. Once you stop putting all that energy into trying to fit into this small box, all this radiant energy becomes available that you now have available for your family that you didn't have before.
Yeah.
And really, that's what was creating more tiredness, fatigue, was just being smaller than you really need, were or that I really was.
Yeah. Wow. It does exhaust one to be in a smaller box than you're built for, which is weird, because it's counterintuitive to think that if you were kind of in the smaller container, you'd be using less energy to stay there. But since you're fighting against the big energy of the soul, it's like you're holding back the ocean from going into high tide. I mean, you just can't do it. And eventually the exhaust wins, and you realize, okay, I got a big energy in my life. I got a big soul that wants to be claimed. I can't keep holding back or containing it, because that's just not humanly possible. And I just love talking with you ladies and having you share your experiences, because it's so fun to know who you both have become over the years that we've been working together, and know that not only are there two awesome women in organizations making things more awesome, but to be mothers and sisters and daughters and friends, etc. Just knowing the ripple effect that you're making in your life by being this version of you just warms my heart. And I really appreciate you both sharing your stories and really being, ambitious also to let other women know that this is possible for them. Because when you're ambitious in one thing, you're usually ambitious in other avenues. And I really, really appreciate that. I don't think we can help women understand enough how possible it is for them to be living an awesome life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting us to participate.
Yes.
It's always fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Mom.
Anything each of you want to share before we wrap up for today? You both said quite a bit of wonderful, lovely things, but
trust yourself. Trust yourself. Absolutely trust yourself above everything else or anyone else. Yeah.
Yeah.
And invest in yourself.
Yes.
Whether it's time, energy, or money,
Yes.
invest in yourself and your growth.
Yes. Best investment ever with the biggest return is your
Absolutely.
own self. Right. Right. Well, again, thank you, Angela. Lovely seeing you as well. Nadia, lovely seeing you. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me on this Coach Mo Live and Motivational Monday. If you're watching this on live or replay, either way, we'd love to get your comments and your thoughts. And if you need to move your life forward, please go ahead and book that free complimentary career clarity call at mofall.com/live clarity. Nadia and Angela, we'll see you in the mastermind and see you later. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. This is Coach